Hello everyone and welcome back. Now we're going to learn about the b part of the slope-intercept equation. The b is called the y-intercept. Hopefully you watched part 1 and that's where you learned about how to calculate the slope, which is the m in this y equals mx plus b or minus b. Now we're going to learn about the b part. Okay, since we have the y, we have the x, since we also have the m, all we need to do is find the b. And there's the grid system and the points that we have from part 1. And let's start with line 1, of course, and we're going to use the x and y from point A. We have y equals 5, and we have x equals negative 4. Of course, we have negative 1.5 for the slope. We're going to plug in all these numbers, and the equation should look like 5 equals negative 1.5 multiplied by negative 4 plus b. And b is the number that we're going to find. Multiply negative 1.5 by negative 4. And you will get a 6. So now the equation looks like 5 equals 6 plus b. Very simple, isn't it? Just subtract 6 from both sides to isolate the b. Answer, negative 1 equals b. Now let's do the bottom point of line 1, and this will check our work. Again, if we get the same answer, then we've done something right. If we get two different answers, then we're wrong somewhere. So y, we have a negative 4, x, we have a 2, and of course the slope is negative 1.5. Equation should look like this. Negative 4 equals negative 1.5 times 2 plus b, and we're looking for the b. Negative 1.5 times 2 equals negative 3. Now it looks like this. Negative 4 equals negative 3 plus b. Add 3 to both sides of the equation, and you get negative 1 equals b. So we got the same answer both times. Seems like we're doing something right. Let's move on to line 2. Let's find the b part of line 2. Okay, and we have those numbers as well. If you remember, the slope is that crazy funky number with 9 decimal places. Why is it 9 decimal places? Because I'm insane and I love numbers. But also because it helps you in rounding and you don't get any rounding errors where you're off by the 4th decimal point. So we have 8 for y. And we're going to use the coordinates of the top part of line 2. And of course we have this crazy number for m. So we'll write that down. And yes, we will write it down in 9 decimal places. And x, we have a 7. So let's take a look at the equation now. 8 equals 1.16 repeating the 7 at the end times 7. So you multiply that number, the m, by 7, and you get another repeating decimal but with a 9 at the end. And we get, we subtract, that number from both sides of the equation, and we get a negative 0.1 7 6s and a 9 equals b. Now let's look at point B on line 2, see if we get the same number. And we have a negative 6 equals y. And we have an x is a negative 5. Let's write down the negative 6 for the y. And let's write down the negative 5 for the x. The ordered pair, I should say. And then we have the slope as well. So let's write that down, and it's the slope times x plus b, and that equals y. And what I'm illustrating is that there are an infinite number of points between the A part of the line and the B part. You could grab any one of those points and get the same answer for the slope, but we're just using the point A for the beginning and point B, the ending point, for our main numbers. And if you have a graphing calculator, you can find all those points with the press of a button. But in the meantime, let's continue on with this equation. Negative 6, which is the y, equals this number, which is the m, times negative 5, which is the x. And you get negative 5.83 repeating with a 5 being the 9th decimal place. So yes, please type that into the calculator when you go to add 5.8 repeating 3 to both sides. And here is the number that you get, negative 0.16, repeating with 5 being the 9th decimal place. Notice you're slightly off from point A. Point A had a 9 for the 9th decimal place, if you could see it right there on the sheet of paper. And again, it's a rounding issue, it's not an error. So I will use the 7 for the 9th decimal place because it is between the 9 and the 5. But if you wanted to use the one with the 9 at the end or the 5, those work as well. I'm using the 7 just to keep it consistent and easier. And again, the y-intercept, the b part, is the exact point that the line crosses the y-axis. And of course, you could find it in AutoCAD. You just ask the computer, hey, what point is this that the line crosses the y-axis? And you could see for line 1, as you see illustrated here, the crossing point is -1 or -1 is the y-intercept. And then for line 2, the y-intercept is negative 0.16 repeating, and you see it illustrated there, right on the y-axis. So check out part 3, where we put the equation together and we calculate the exact intersection between line 1 and line 2. So right there we have the y-intercept and we have the slope-intercept equation.